Hey, good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
Welcome here. My name is Chris, and Bonnie's in the house.
Yeah. Woo! And a lot of other people.
And a
This
lot of
place is
people
buzzing.
are in the house.
Yes.
They are filing in for church. We got
Absolutely.
church.
Yeah.
and it's happening. Our 11 o'clock service this morning, and we're excited that you are joining us online. Welcome here. It's a party week.
It is a
and
party.
on party week, we get our party on.
Yes.
Party song
Yes.
today after the message.
After the message.
So stay tuned. Right.
Don't tune out too quick.
That's right.
Because you're going to miss it.
So why do we party, Bonnie? Why do we party?
Oh, we party because God is a good, good God, and He has given us really good gifts.
Yeah, He is good. And we celebrate what He has done, what He is doing in our lives, and also what's to come, the good things He has planned for us. And so we love to revel on that on Party Week and take note of it. And it's been playing out in this series fairly accurately, I would say.
Yeah, so we are in a Revelation series, and I don't know about you, Chris, but it has created a whole lot of opportunity for good conversation.
Great
It is
conversation.
also a party week because Nathan.
Yes, I bring the party.
He will be dancing to We Don't Talk About Bruno.
We don't talk about that, though.
So, will you be
We don't,
First time I heard that song was this morning.
okay.
we don't talk about Nathan dancing either.
That's true. He was just saying that was the first time he's heard the song. So,
okay.
not alone with that. I had to.
So
we
second
are
service.
so old.
Second service, y'all will get your groove on.
No.
Is that what I'm?
What's
Oh,
going on? There's people
Okay.
creeping around on stage, and everyone's dressed up like Jacob. Is it from Jacob in the Technicolor Dreamcoat?
This is getting you excited to watch, to stay tuned. This is getting you confused and excited to tune in for what's going to happen. Lit. But we
so
have.
much fun.
But before that, the Revelation
Yes,
series.
Revelation series.
And it's been
There
really
have
good.
been a lot of really great conversations coming out of
Yeah.
this series. One of the things that I have actually really loved is it is reminding us that Revelation isn't just for something in the future, but it has something for us here and now.
Yeah.
There's something that we have been encouraged with and challenged with, and it started with these letters to the churches, and this call to be faithful. And then last Sunday we had John say, and then there's this vision, and it's almost like this vision provided a picture of why and how we can stay faithful, because there is a throne and there is someone on that throne, and that I found that so encouraging that there's these layers to Revelation that we're starting to discover. And this morning, Revelation 5.
It's going to be good.
It's going to be amazing. Yeah.
Layers and letters. And speaking letters to the churches, we're going to do some shout outs to our churches. Shout out to Dryden, Dauphin, Neepawa, and Portage. And Dauphin, I saw Valerie's jumping in the chat again. Good morning to you, Valerie.
Good morning, Valerie.
And so Neepawa, what's happening there?
Yeah, Neepawa. So last Sunday, I was supposed to be with you in person, and, we're in Manitoba, and blizzards happen. But I was so grateful for this amazing tech team that even though I wasn't able to be with you in person, they could still find a way to, Zoom me there, or, I don't know,
You got
virtual.
there.
I got there
Virtually.
through virtual
But
reality
you actually
or
got
something.
there virtually.
Yes.
You didn't virtually just get there.
Yeah.
But yes. Anyways.
But just please know that even as I was preparing, and even though that wasn't the way we thought it would play out, know that you were prayed for, and I just loved the opportunity to be with you in whatever capacity was able. So you guys are loved, you guys are cared for. And just a little shout out to you. But Neepawa, house churches have been growing. You guys have been growing that community.
Yeah.
And you continue to meet. Men are meeting Sunday nights, women Monday nights. Both of those are at 7 p.m. If you have not checked out House Church yet, I encourage you to do so. Contact your campus pastors, Rylan and Sonia, at Neepawa at mypack.tv.
See, I was just waiting to do that with you. Just like.
We got you covered in surround.
Yeah.
Please do that. Please let them know that you are interested in joining House Church discussions and communities, because that's where we encourage one another, we grow together, and we also celebrate together.
And Dryden is doing house churches.
Dryden is doing house church.
That's great.
Yeah.
First week of kicking it off, getting it going. Wow.
Yeah. So they have been starting their house church discussions Sunday night after watching the message together. And then we also started one during the week this past week. And it has been amazing to watch you dive into these conversations and these discussions, really taking what you're hearing on a Sunday night and looking for ways to activate that in your lives here and now. So be encouraged, Dryden. Things are growing, and we are just so excited for you and what God is doing for you.
Absolutely.
If you are interested in joining house churches, message the Timbers Church at timberscc@gmail.com.
Oh,
we got this.
We got the emails down. Anyways, sorry for goofing off, but it's party week. Just saying hi to Cheryl, Stephanie, and David in the chat. Hey, guys, good morning to you as well. And Dauphin, you guys are obviously tuning in. Some of you were in the first service. I heard a little bit, but would love to hear from you, whoever is tuning in. What is the party thing that you're doing this week? How are you going to be celebrating God's goodness? So we'd love to hear about that. Portage, 2 services, just so you know, 9 o'clock and 11 a.m. Our 11 a.m. service is for kids. We have our kids ministry running at the 11 a.m. service, so parents, you might just want to take note of that. And an update for Portage site, we're doing the 24/7 prayer week. And you guys probably remember this week. It's coming up March 7th to 13th. And normally what we used to do is we'd sign up online. You would come to the church and pray. But quite a few years back, there was one where we had a down emphasis, where we went and served our community, went to different parts of our community, and we prayed in those places. So that's how this one is going to work. We're going to be hopping in our cars and actually driving out to the local Indigenous communities that we've been invited into to go and pray the things they need prayer for. So they have given us what they're praying for their community. They're giving us the prayers, and we are being invited to sign up at specific times to drive in and just drive around and just pray those things to happen on God's behalf for them. So wonderful way to partner. Such a huge honor. And a few events that are happening during that prayer week from March 7th to 13th. On Tuesday night, we'll be doing a prayer walk through our school here at West Park, because our school is about 1/3 First Nations. And so we will be having some of the elders from the community here, how we can pray for them and their kids in this setting. And so you might want to be a part of that. And then on Thursday night, we're going to Dakota Plains, and there we get to tour through the school there. And then after that, we get to pray at Dakota Plains Church with Elder Les, and that, again, amazing. This whole week is going to end on a Mexico coffee house where we look at our international community, not just our communities around us that we partner with, but we have a community in near Cuernavaca in near Mexico City, where there's a children's home. And so we support that children's home and the workers there. Sahid and Lulu, the directors, will be tuning in, giving us an update. And then to boot, you pay $20, you come through the door, but you get a coffee here that night. You get Mexican dessert, apple pie tacos or tres leches. And then at the end, there's a chance to donate to the children's home and getting live updates from Sahid and Lulu. Lots going on. So what you want to do is head to our website Monday. Head to the website Monday, mypac.tv, and there you're going to find how to sign up, the prayer slots and all that, and how to move into the community praying in that week, March 7th to 13th. AGM, March 20th, and as well.
Wow, there's a lot going on. There's a lot going on. And so as we prepare for this morning, there is a prayer team that has been praying for you this week. And as they've been praying and kind of sharing some of the words and pictures that they've been receiving, we have some things to share with you.
Awesome. Yeah.
So the word from our prayer team this morning is be encouraged because the glory of God shines through you. And there's a song, there's a worship song, Great Are You, Lord. It's done by all sons and daughters. And it's just this beautiful celebration song where we are reminded that God is the giver of life and love. And it is God who brings light and gives hope and brings healing and restores all things. And this is the good God that we celebrate and we worship right through our week. But we pay special attention to that on Party Week. It's just an opportunity to really rejoice with each other, the good things of God. And there's something really beautiful about that. Because of God's goodness, we can continue in perseverance. We can continue shining His light through our own lives with this gentle humility and this love for others. And I just want to really encourage you with that this morning. So worship and celebrate with us this morning, and also remember that it's because of a good God that we can persevere.
Yeah, and that's a great thing to hold in mind as we move into Party Week, that we do have a really good God who is moving us to help into these hard things, that we can have hope in hard things. Yeah, so good. Wow. We're flying through some of these announcements. I do see some more people coming into the chat. Dave Stanley in the house.
Woo, woo.
Teresa, hey guys, shout out to you. And
Jackie is joining us
Jackie,
again.
hey.
Yep.
Dave and Teresa are a huge part of our team that goes to Mexico, and Dave and Teresa help to lead the teams out there, develop the teams, work with Sahid and Lulu, and a lot of the groundwork, whether both relationally and then the physical work that we do out there as a team, Dave and Teresa are a huge part of that. So I've had tons of fun being a part of that. And so if you're interested in that, I'd love to hear from you in the chat. If you want to come with us and see what the Mexico Children's Home is about, you might want to join us on one of those trips. If you want more information about that, then I encourage you to come to that Mexico Coffee House on March 13th. That's happening at 6 p.m. And like I said, it's $20. That's all going basically to the orphanage there. So that we'd love for you to at least have a taste, experience of what God is doing there as well. So Dave, Teresa, thanks for all you guys are doing there. And I love as well that you guys are just going out there soon just to go and actually visit relationally, holiday with Sahid and Lulu. And so we're excited about that as well. So,
And that is just an incredible picture of how the community of God is so much bigger than what we sometimes realize. Right? So we're here on site in Portage, but we have got this beautiful community that joins us from Mexico. And from these other communities, and I'm sure if you are even joining us from someplace that we haven't mentioned, we would love to hear from you. Pop it in the chat and just say, hey, I'm here, I'm from, and then fill in the blank. We would love to give you a personal shout out as well.
I see people are signing up in the chat, Val and Dave, and no, Dave, Val spoke on your behalf. You're in. But hey, guys, we're going to party, and so it's time to pray with us, posture ourselves for worship here. So, Father, we say thank you to you, the giver of every good and perfect gift. Thank you for the big and small joys in our life. Thank you for food, music, beauty, and laughter. I'm hearing the laughter of the kids just right now. God, thank you for your attention today, your salvation, your future. You are the source and fountain of our joy. It's to you we sing with grateful hearts. Amen. All right.
So this week is Party Week. We're going to do things a little bit different. We will not be back here after the service, but please don't sign off too soon because we have a party song for you at the very end. So enjoy this morning and come and worship with us. We hear the music. It's time.
It's time. Take care, guys. We'll see you later.
There's nothing to fear now. So when I fall, I'll fight on my knees with my hands lifted high. And oh God, the battle belongs to you. And every fear I lay at your feet. And I'll sing through the night. And oh God, the battle belongs to you. To me, for Jesus there's nothing impossible for you. When all I see are the almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. And almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. You shine in the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power. Sing that again. And almighty fortress, you go before us. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. And you shine in the shadows, you win every battle. Nothing can stand against the power of our God. So when I fight on my knees with my hands lifted high, and oh God, the battle belongs to you. And every fear I lay at your feet, I'll sing through the night. Oh God, the battle belongs to you. And oh God, the battle belongs to you. Mountains are still being moved. Strongholds are still being loosed. And God, we believe it. Yes, we can see that wonders are still what you do. 'Cause we are here for you. Come and do what you do. We are here for you. Come and do what you do. Set our hearts on you. Come and do what you do. 'Cause we need a move. We need a move. Bodies are still being raised. Giants are still being slain. Come on. And God, we believe it. Yes, we can see that wonders are still what you do. We are here for you. Come and do what you do. We are here for you. Come and do what you do. Set our hearts on you. Come and do what you do. 'Cause we need a move. We need a move. Miracles happen when you move. Healing is coming in this room. Miracles happen when you move. Heaven is coming. Yeah. Miracles happen when you move. Healing is coming in this room. Miracles happen when you move. Heaven is coming. This is a move. This is a move. This is a move. This is a move. We are here for you. Come and do what you do. We are here for you. Come and do what you do. Set our hearts on you. Come and do what you do. 'Cause we need a move. We need a move. This is a move. This is a move.
Hey everybody, it's good to see you. It's kind of starting to feel a little bit like old times, hey? Just a little bit, that's good. That was an underwhelming woo. Nobody misses old times. Yeah, you know, we had it pretty good a few years ago. All right, before we get going on today's message, I'm going to have a drink of water. Thanks. There's a couple things that are just worth celebrating here. One is, on the keyboards this morning was Travis Senegal, who's always worth celebrating, but especially today. This is his last regular scheduled time on our worship band because he is moving to Dauphin to be a part of our church plant there. So let's express our thanks to him. Thanks, Travis, for lots of years of service. Those of you who live really deeply in the Christian ghetto, you're wondering who's going to do Phil Wickham songs anymore. It's okay if you didn't get that joke. The other thing that's worth celebrating is here at the few years into a pandemic, in January we celebrated our most generous giving in the last 5 years. So that's exciting because we have this growing sense here as God has opened doors for us during COVID in Dryden and Dauphin and with reconciliation initiatives that his favor is on our church. And we can't necessarily explain that, but we need to own that and understand that. And when we see, given all the different pressures on our congregation in the last few years, to have a January that starts like that is just worth paying attention to and celebrating. So let's cheer for that. Maybe not as much as you cheered for Travis, but let's still cheer. All right. We are 1/3 of the way through our series on the book of Revelation, the last book of the Bible, a strange and peculiar book, but it's actually quite wondrous and marvelous as you begin to dive into it. And if you are just joining us here, if you missed a few, I'm going to try really quickly to bring you up to speed about how we've been tracking with this book. This book is written by a pastor who is separated from his congregations. He loves these people, but he's been separated by the state, he's being persecuted, and he's put on this island in isolation. He's being punished by Rome. He still cares for these people. He wants to revive their faith. He wants them to know how to follow Jesus given all the tensions that are happening around them, the persecution, the loss, the economic strain, the moral challenges, all the things that everybody in any age faces, but for him, he loves those people, so he's writing to them in the 7 churches. And what he writes to them is a sermon, but it's a genre of sermon called an apocalypse. Now, apocalypse is a specific genre of writing that we're not that familiar with, although we're going to look briefly at another apocalypse this morning, not the apocalypse that's Revelation, but a different one. When we think of apocalypse, we often think of, a bunch of scary things that are going to happen. Carnage. But apocalypse is actually a genre of literature like a comedy or a thriller. If you were living in the ancient world and they had Netflix and you're going through the genres, you could probably choose apocalypse. We don't really have that now. But what it is it's an unveiling of what's really going on to give your mind ingredients to reinforce truths that you already know so that you can see things fresh, so that you can take what's really an abstract truth or something that you've forgotten and it grinds it into your imagination just that much deeper and more powerfully. So we don't come to the apocalypse of Revelation to learn a bunch of new things. We come to have truth reinforced powerfully and reimagined, to experience Jesus as we long to experience him, but have maybe forgotten, and it's been a while since we've been passionate. So we come for new ingredients for our imagination. So that kind of brings you up to speed. The genre of apocalypse always involves a character going up to a different realm and seeing things. That happened last week in Revelation 4. The prophet John is taken to the throne room, to the control center of the universe. And the big lesson from last week is that despite all the chaos in his churches, despite all the chaos in his life, despite all the pain that he's going through and that we're going through, he sees something very fortifying. He sees that there is a throne at the center of the universe and there's someone sitting on it. And all heaven and all creation breaks out into worship, and we understand that when we worship and we start to feel something, a lightness or an awareness or a freedom, it's only because we're seeing that there's somebody on the throne. So in worship, you see that God is on the throne despite what your day might have been like. Today we move into chapter 5, and it's still John in the throne room. But the vision of the throne room so far isn't and hasn't been a Christian vision, because a Christian vision has to involve Jesus. And we haven't seen Jesus yet in the center of the universe, in this throne room, but we're about to hear. So he's still in the throne room, still having this vision, and it continues. Then I, so I as John, saw on the right hand of him who sat on the throne, that's God, a scroll with writing on both sides and sealed with 7 seals. So it's perfectly sealed, God's holding it. And I saw a mighty angel proclaiming in a loud voice, "Who is worthy to break the seals and open the scroll?" But no one in heaven or on earth or under the earth could open the scroll and even look inside it. I wept and wept because no one was found who was worthy to open the scroll or look inside. Before we ask, why is John weeping, and find out what's in the scroll, let me set you up for what I hope happens to you today. Something in your life is off. And specifically, for many of us, something in our life as we follow Jesus is off. Here's kind of what I mean by off. We're sincere and we have the best of intentions, but where we're going is actually not the way that he's going. I was trying to get Tamara to help me, my wife Tamara, to find like a lighthearted example about where I've been off, to just kind of warm us up to the idea. And so I was trying to feed her things like scenarios where that might be the case. And so I'm like, has there ever been a time where like romance was in this direction and I was 180 degrees off and going in that direction? She had a few of those. But I'm not going to use them this morning. I asked, have you ever seen a place where I've read the room wrong? where I think that something's really going to be funny or this joke is just going to kill, but it's just bombed. So I think this is the way to go, and I'm moving in this direction, owning it with boldness. And it turns out that I was 180 degrees off. And that's the one that we settled on as a great one to tell you. I have a brother-in-law named David Graham, and he's like Jack Black. You know who Jack Black is? Sort of jovial, sometimes a little bit kind of jolly. If you've watched Nacho Libre, that's the guy. My brother-in-law actually has a Nacho costume he wears for Halloween. And he pulls it off, as disgusting as it might be. They were all over for Christmas. My brother-in-law, my in-laws, my mother-in-law, father-in-law, my two nieces, and it must be Boxing Day or something like that. David comes down the stairs in our house, and he's got his gym shorts hiked up to about here, and they're ending about here. And he's marching down the stairs, and everyone just howls with laughter. This is the funniest thing ever. What a card. He's just great. And I'm watching. I'm a little envious because I've been trying to use my best jokes all Christmas, and nobody's really cracked a smile. They're sort of giving each other knowing looks like, yeah, he's a little strange. And so I'm like, well, now I know what it takes. Laughter is in this direction. So the next day, I put on my tightest cycling shorts and hike them up to uncomfortable layers. This is all I'm wearing. It's a mental image you probably don't want. And I come down the stairs just like him. And Tamara says, "What are you doing?" And my father-in-law, who has a strong stomach, is kind of going, My nieces are diving for cover. My brother, like, it just, like, how could I be that off when this worked so well? I mean, you know those awkward moments when you're off. Maybe you don't have one quite like that, but you know. And then we think about that idea of being off, of being wrong, of going in the wrong direction, and apply it to sort of bigger things. And you come up with a phrase to describe that being off that has a little more weight to it. It's a phrase actually that we first see in the 1920s and 30s. Martin Luther King Jr. used it, Ronald Reagan used it, Obama used it, and you hear it now in our climate politically. The phrase is the wrong side of history. Does that ring a bell? So people, whether they are left-wing or right-wing, accuse each other of being on the wrong side of history, that as history unfolds, it will vindicate them and their ideas. And so the idea is, you're going in this direction, but you're going to be on the wrong side of history. You need to be going over here. Now that, in our own limited understanding of how the world works, is a sort of an audacious thing to say because we really don't know what the future holds. And yet, as audacious as that is, this morning that's going to be the claim for us here in Revelation, that we're going to see something that will make sure that we are on the right side of history. And it's different than you might think. Because where you might go is, okay, right, so Christians are going to be on the right side of history. People who believe in Jesus are going to be on the right side of history. That's not the message here today. It's a little bit different. It's a little more subtle that way. So let's get into how that unfolds. What we're looking for is a place where us as Christians are realizing, I'm going the wrong way. Something is off. So we've set the scene. There's a scroll, and John is weeping and weeping, which is odd because if a book in your life was closed, a scroll, so to speak, you wouldn't start crying necessarily. So the contents of this scroll are super important. It's heartbreaking that somebody cannot open and read this book. Why is John weeping? People who study the book of Revelation unpack the scroll this way with different phrases and ideas. They say the scroll is the story of human history. Okay, yes, we can start there. But it's not just the story like, here's what's going to happen. It's the redemption of human history. This scroll has all this brokenness, all this pain, all this ache, every hurt in your life, every hurt through human history. And if you stop and think about it, you feel so helpless and unable to fix those things that you weep like John does. So the thing that makes your heart ache once a week, once a day, maybe it's a family situation and you're like, how could this ever be fixed in 1,000,000 years? I don't see it. It happened for me a couple weeks ago. I was looking online at some news, and it had in the brackets at the beginning of the article, warning, sensitive content or something like that. So I clicked through because it was about human trafficking and stuff like that, and those are things that our church cares about and tries to stop. And I'm reading through it, and it was about this child pornography ring. And I think where the sensitive content was in the article was they didn't just kind of talk about the people that were being accused, and they gave a couple names of the videos. And I thought, I didn't think, I just wept. How does that get fixed? That's in the scroll. Who could ever come and heal a little girl's heart and body? Who could ever restore a little boy? Who could ever, if I could even think it in that moment, I couldn't, bring healing for the perpetrator? So how does it get fixed? Can anyone fix it? Now, John is weeping here in the throne room. So there's this weird connection between all these songs that he was singing and hearing just earlier, and now this ache. We've been there. Singing on one day and aching on the next. That's why he's weeping, because history needs a champion and it doesn't have one. Then one of the elders said to me, "Do not weep. See, the Lion of the tribe of Judah, the Root of David, has triumphed. He's able to open the scroll and its 7 seals." So there's good news, John. There actually is a figure in history who can make sense of this. A figure who can make it right, a figure who can restore it, a figure who can bring justice, who can bring healing, a figure who, as we'll read later in Revelation, can bring the kind of healing that words defy, but we get close to it when we read, "He will wipe every tear from their eyes." The one who is, was, and is to come, who can transcend time, can go back and wipe tears then, wipe tears now, and wipe future tears. But it's the Lion of Judah, the Root of David. Now, these are military images from Israel's history. The Lion of Judah. We first see that phrase in Genesis 49 when Jacob, one of the patriarchs of the Israelite nation, is naming his sons and blesses them. And he gets to Judah, and he says, "Judah, you'll put your hand on the neck of your enemies." This is not like in a reassuring squeeze. This is, "You will throttle your enemies, Lion of Judah. You're a lion's cub. Judah, my son, obedience of the nations shall be his." This idea of the Lion of Judah took root in the Jewish faith. Every time they were persecuted, they were waiting for a Messiah who was going to be the lion, who was going to be strong enough, who was going to be able to roll his sleeves up enough and to put his hand around the neck of the enemies and make it right. One of those communities was the community of Qumran. Just before Jesus arrives on the scene, they're in the desert and they're preparing for this battle. And they have their own apocalypse. It's not the revelation of Jesus, it's Ezra. And this isn't in the Bible, but it's in sort of the intertestamental between the Old Testament and New Testament literature. And all the same images, a lot of the same images from Revelation are here, and this is what they're anticipating. The Lion of Judah, Israel, the Messiah, is going to rise up and judge them. Uses the image of the eagle, which is Rome. These are things that are familiar from the Revelation for us. Rebuke them and destroy them. So the Lion of Judah, the branch of David, this is the military, powerful figure who's going to come and make it right. Maybe you felt something like this on the playground when you were little. You're outnumbered, and they're going to take you down. And then you got a big brother, though, who shows up just in time, and suddenly the fight is fair, and you're going to squash your enemies, and they're going to flee. And you can just imagine John, okay, right on, this strong lion's going to bare its fangs and roar and open up the scroll and make sense of it and make it right. He's going in this direction. You can hardly wait to see the lion. This figure of destructive power, the principal force of the image in the Old Testament. The lion suggests ferocity, destructiveness, and irresistible strength. Here comes the lion. Do not weep. And then, I think it's the most jarring transition in human literature. Lion, 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 lion. I turned, expecting to see bared fangs and a roar and I saw, looking for the lion, there's a lamb with its throat cut as a sacrifice. A bloody little lamb that's still nursing, vulnerable and broken, standing at the center of the throne, encircled by the 4 living creatures and the elders. The lamb had 7 horns and 7 eyes. Again, we're remembering this is just images of perfection and strength, which are the 7 spirits of God sent out into all the earth. The lamb, the bloody little lamb, see, they've searched all history, all corners of the earth to find somebody who can handle history and redeem it. It's in the scroll, and the little lamb sort of trots over, and says, I think that belongs to me. And he takes it, and the rest of Revelation is him opening it and us seeing what's in his hands. But here is where I want to camp, because here is where I think we've got it wrong. History, the right side of history, is about lambness and not lionness. Yes, the lion does conquer. There's power there. This is the Lion of Judah, but what's the nature of his conquering? Is it strength? Is it being right? Is it the strategy? Is it powering through? Is it convincing? Or is it sacrificial love? Well, it's sacrificial love. But in typical Revelation fashion, what feels like this is brand new actually isn't brand new. That sacrificial love is the most powerful thing in the world, and that to follow Jesus means to live a life of sacrificial love is not a new idea. Jesus sits in front of people in his sermon, and he starts it by saying, the meek will inherit the earth. Oh, right, we knew that. And then a little while later on in the same sermon, he says, you've heard it said, an eye for an eye. You have heard it said, bare your fangs. You've heard it said, lionness. But I say to you, turn the other cheek. Bah. And then his disciples come to him. And they say, when you reign on your throne, can we sit at your right hand? Can we be like your co-lions? And he says to them, the rulers of this kingdom of this world, they lord it over their subjects and they clamor for power. But among you and among us, it must not be so. I came to give my life and to serve. But his disciples forget. And so later on, when he's washing their feet in this amazing humble act of servanthood, in a lamb-like act of submission, they say, what are you doing? And he says, if I, your teacher and your master, do this for you, then think about what you need to do for other people. And then one of his disciples comes up to him and says, somebody has wronged me. Jesus, how many times should I forgive? 7? Which is perhaps like forgive completely or forgive 7 times. And Jesus just elevates it to basically forgive him as long as you need to, until the offense isn't sitting in you. Forgive him 70 times, 7 times. Bah. Put away your fangs. Literally, he almost tells one of his disciples, put away your fangs. They're in the garden before he's arrested. The soldiers come to get Jesus. They're going to execute him. He knows this. Peter leaps to his defense. Peter the lion, Peter the rock, pulls his sword, cuts off the ear of a soldier, or a servant rather. Jesus heals the ear, and then he says to Peter, Peter, put away your sword. There's nothing new here. We know it's about lambness, don't we? How about when he's on the cross, hanging there, looking more and more like this image all the time. And he says, Father, forgive them. They don't know what they're doing. It's not the lion's roar of, Father, get them. Father, vindicate me over them. Now, he is vindicated in the most powerful act ever of resurrection. But Jesus, in his faith, trusts that this is the truth at the center of reality, that power comes through sacrificial love. You can't change much of anything without it, not for very long. There's some new things here. That's not new, but maybe there is this twist that's new in the revelation, and it's this. If you've thought about sacrificial love, maybe you've thought about it as a way to make God proud of you or pleased with you. But maybe you didn't know that it's the most powerful thing you can do. Only it can melt the heart of the child who's distanced from you. Only it can repair your marriage. Only it can change your workplace from a toxic environment to some place that looks a little bit more like the kingdom of God. Only you laying down your life. As long as Christians are in lion mode, though, we assume that if we can only be convincing or right or true or relevant or compelling or strategic or whatever it might be, we just end up roaring into the void, offensive at best, devastating at worst, when the one that you follow is not the lion over here, he's the lamb down there. If I asked you who's got this wrong and you put your hands up, I'm not going to ask you that. Would you have got it wrong? When I was going through this with the team, because on Wednesdays we meet, and I'll invite the band out at this point. On Wednesdays we meet and we go through my notes in the sermon or whoever's speaking, and we ask some questions, because sometimes notes in your head can be clearer than they come across, or you can be missing something. And one of the questions that we ask is there like an emotional part to the sermon? And this one, we couldn't really find it until my voice cracked. When I went from the lion to the lamb, and I thought, why does this get me? Why is this rocking me so hard? And I think the simple truth is this, that for most of my life, I've got it wrong. I thought if I just worked really hard to fix problems and was convincing and compelling, then the problems would be fixed. And so all these subtle little manipulative moves of power that just go nowhere, that are useless at best and hurtful at worst, I just had to die. And so do you. And the beautiful thing about that, it sounds so abstract. That's not the beautiful part. It's not abstract. The beautiful thing about it is it's actually very precise. Now you have to allow it to be precise. Too often we hear something like this and we're like, yeah, but I don't know if pacifism really works, if it's like, what if a really bad person, that just takes you away from the place right in front of you. Stop asking theoretical questions that never land right in front of you. This Jesus, this Lamb, is going to restore your marriage. This Jesus is going to repair your relationship with your children. This is going to bring a friend back that you've lost. This sacrificial love right in front of you to act on is actually very, very obvious if we care to look at it. And it's so empowering. I haven't once in my life ever gone, this situation requires some sacrificial love, I guess. There's just no way for me to do that, though. No, your hands are never tied. It's never futile. It's always really obvious what that move is. Well, that's because when you're following Jesus, you're never stuck. This idea that Jesus is not the lion, but the lamb, might require more faith than your original belief in Jesus. For whatever reason, in whatever sort of environment, at some point it made sense to you. The almost nonsensical made sense to you that yes, this first century Jewish carpenter, born in anonymity, out in the middle of nowhere, turned out to be the Son of God, go figure, and then he was died on the cross and he came back to life. You find that relatively easy to believe. But are you following him as he reveals himself here? Or are you going to put away your sword? Let's stand. Let's sing.
And I
I'll invite you to stay standing and just close your eyes. I invite you to not think about the broad scope of history, but think about your own little scroll. That part of your life that you just can't unwind, you can't open up, you can't make sense of, you can't find victory in. It's just wound up tight and you cannot open that thing up. You've tried all sorts of things. You've roared. You've sunk your teeth into it and shaken your mane. You've pawed at it. You've tried every lion thing that you can think of. But now you know that the secret at the center of the universe for how power is unleashed is sacrificial love. So you've been empowered to come at it differently. And you're flipping a 180, saying goodbye to lionness and embracing lambness. And then you can sit with anticipation, waiting to see what unfolds in your story. And as far as the cosmic story goes, Jesus, thank you that it's in your hands. That you just walk over and say, I think that that belongs to me. And it does, as do we. Thank you, Lamb, that you love us, that your strength in our life is made perfect in our weakness. Help us to see the power in that foolishness. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, we're going to do one more worship song here, but because the party song's coming and your kids are going to dig it, if you've got kids, go hustle and bring them back. And about the time that the song is done and the band, there's a costume change involved, your kids will be back. So go get them, and then we'll see you here. We're a little early. Well, we'll see how it goes. All right, we'll see you. We'll see you back here.
In the darkness we were waiting, without hope, without a light, till from heaven you came running. There was mercy in your eyes to fulfill the law and prophets. To a virgin came the word, from a throne of endless glory to a cradle in the dirt. the dead rose from their tombs, and the angels stood in awe for the souls of all who'd come to the Father are restored. And the church of Christ was born. Then the Spirit lit the flame. Now this gospel truth of old shall not kneel, shall not faint. By His blood and in His name, in His freedom I am free. For the love of Jesus Christ, who has resurrected me. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. Praise the Father, praise the Son, praise the Spirit, three in one. God of glory, majesty, praise forever to the King of Kings. Oh, praise forever to the King of Kings.
All right, why don't you pray with me? Jesus, we love you and we thank you. And we thank you that you are the Lamb. And that you are the Lamb that was slain. And that you are the way forward. And that your way is the way forward. So God, we pray that you would be with us now. We thank you that what we've been learning in this book, the way that you are with us always, that you are on the throne, that you are holding all things together. And we thank you that you've also given us a way to live today, here and now, with one another, with our neighbors, in our country, in this world. God, you've shown us the way. You are the Lamb. And you alone are worthy. So we praise you and pray all these things in your name. And everybody said, amen. I feel like this is a weird transition. But we nailed it. All right. Do you know, here's the beauty of it. When we talk about party weeks, we talk about this discipline of celebration. And party weeks are about this. We have a good God who gives good gifts to his kids. And you and I are those kids. And one of the things that we like to do within the Christian faith is that we like to be serious. We like to learn the good things. But sometimes we got to remember that it is good to laugh. And I'm really hoping we're going to do that today. So we've invited all the kids back. We've also, if you see Annalisa, who will be playing the part over here on the left, make sure you thank her, because any or maybe costumes that might show up through this would be her doing, because 2,000 of the votes for this song were her doing as well. So it only makes sense. So here's what's going to happen. I'm going to actually ask you to sit down, because we have little ones who are joining us, and we want them to be able to see too, because we're assuming that they're going to love the song. But if you are not a little one, what I need you to do is dig down deep and find the little one inside of you, right? I need you to look inside of you, find the kid inside of you that wants to come out and laugh at us, with us, and we're going to have a good time. Now, the other thing is this, is Bonnie Hildebrandt, our campus pastor in Dryden, has posted the new video, and if not already, it will be very, very soon, and it will be on our Facebook page, and you can go there and vote for our next party song. Don't do that just right now, but after the service, I would encourage you to go do that, and then we'll find out what shenanigans you force us to do next week. Well, next party week. So, without further ado, we got everybody? Here's a Disney song. Oh, no, I'm just kidding. All right, take it away, guys.
We don't talk about Bruno, no, no, no. We don't talk about Bruno. But it was my wedding
wonder.
You telling the story or am I?
I'm sorry, me vida go on.
Bruno says it looks like rain.
Why did he tell her?
In doing so, he floods my brain.
Umbrella, get the umbrella.
Buried in a hurricane.
What a joyous day, but anyway, we don't talk about Bruno, no, no, no. We don't talk about Bruno.
Heard him fear, fear, stuttering, a stumbling. I can always hear him sort of muttering and mumbling. I associate him with the sound of falling sand. It's a heavy lift with a gift so humbling. Always left a bullet and the family fumbling. Grappling with problems they couldn't understand. Do you understand?
A 7-foot frame with racks along his back. When he calls your name, it all fades to black. Where he sees your dreams and feasts on your screams. Oh,
We don't talk about Bruno, no, no, no. We don't talk about Bruno.
He told me my fish would die the next day. Dead! Oh no.
he told me I grow a gun, and just like he said,
He said that all my hair would disappear. Now look at my hair.
Oh no, your fate is sealed when your prophecy is read.
He told me that the life of my dreams would be promised and someday be mine. He told me that my power would grow like the grapes that thrive on the vine.
Omiano's on his way.
Me that the man of my dreams would be just out of reach, betrothed to another. It's like I hear him
Hey, sis.
now.
I want not a
Like I can
sound
hear
of
him now. Bruno. Yeah, about that Bruno. I really need to know about Bruno. Give me the truth and the whole truth, Bruno.